Many families believe that the problem with the addict or the alcoholic is the use of drugs and alcohol. And obviously that is a huge problem. But what they rarely understand or are aware of is that the alcohol and drugs are used as a coping mechanism to the behaviors. So when recognizing the behaviors of an addict and alcoholic, I look to people who have relapsed, and I try to explain to families that people who have been sober for a long period of time just don't slip on a banana peel and end up with a drink in their hand, a needle in their arm, or a pipe in their mouth. They start to go back to their old way of thinking. They start to go back to the old behaviors that were present prior to them using drugs or alcohol, or while they were using drugs or alcohol. So recognize those behaviors. If they're in their addiction, you already know what they are, but from the vantage point of a possible relapse, your loved one's been sober and you're starting to get a little worried about how they've been acting, the number one offender per the book of Alcoholics Anonymous, and also in my observation as a professional, is resentments. When we start to get angry at others and we start to not take ownership for how we put ourselves in the position we're in. Of course, anger is another one, dishonesty, and blaming everybody and every person and place and thing for our problems. So, for example, if I have somebody who's been sober for 6 years and they start to get resentful, they maybe start, engaging in infidelity simply by contacting old girlfriends or boyfriends on social media. They start to pad the expense account and things just start snowballing. That's when they would be prone to a relapse where they picked up drugs or alcohol. So the best way to recognize the behaviors of an alcoholic and or addict is remember this. You may not always know when they're using, but you'll always know when they're not. And you'll always know when they're off, and you'll always know when they're on. In other words, are they on the beam or are they off the beam? Because once they become sober, once the family has been educated through their own self-help groups such as Al-Anon, if you use our services, our Safe Family Recovery Coaching Program, you'll start to learn what drives addiction and what behaviors are there. I guess I could sum it up with it's kind of a joke, but there's an old saying amongst Alcoholics Anonymous members where a man walks into a meeting one day and the chairperson says, "Is this anybody's first time at AA?" And a man in the back raises his hand and says, "Yes, this is my first time in Alcoholics Anonymous. Although I haven't had a drink in 2 years, my wife said she liked me better when I was drinking." And the reason for that, it's kind of a joke, is that it's not so much the alcohol, it's the behaviors that families call us about. If alcohol and drugs didn't cause any problems and didn't cause the volatility in the behaviors, then families wouldn't make the call. Substances are causing the problems, but it's what's driving it, and those are the behaviors.